Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for central Benton County with a thunderstorm now arriving through Bella Vista and moving into Bentonville. Let's get to the radar and see what's happening with this storm, where it's going, and what it's doing. Hey, if you're in Rogers or Cave Springs and you go out and look to the north, you are going to see a crazy looking spaceship, and it's actually it's a shelf cloud pushing out of this storm. You can see what it looks like on radar. It's that tail end there. That's the outflow right through there, which is pushing out towards the south and southeast. So it's got some gusty winds, and it looks like, yeah, they did just issue a new severe thunderstorm warning. This one includes parts of Washington County. This is also because of the same storm and that gusty wind that's pushing out on the southwest side of the thunderstorm. It does include Fayetteville. So at the moment, we have thunderstorm warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Bentonville, for Fayetteville, for Rogers, and for Springdale as this storm's set to track towards the south and towards the southeast. It's moving quick too. This thing's moving about 45 miles an hour. So the forward motion alone, combined with the wind, often produces some stronger winds adding to that forward motion, pushing some of those things over. Okay, so let's get a little closer on this radar here. I'm going to check for winds first on the other source, and then we'll go back to this and track it a little bit more on street level. Right now, this is strongest out over Bella Vista. You can see that other warning just populated on the screen. I'm going to turn on the wind velocity here and then calibrate the radar to the south and then put this thing in motion. So we got some very strong winds right in the middle of this thing coming into Bentonville on the west side of town here. Some gusty winds here, very strong winds it looks like, running from Bella Vista back down towards the south. It's going to be right in here. The outflow boundary is out on the leading edge of this thing from Rogers south and southeast. A lot of wind in this, guys. And this is tracking southeastward. Expect winds here gusting probably close to perhaps even up to 70 miles an hour. The southeast movement has picked up to 50 miles an hour. This thing is it's flying. I mean, it is moving south. Got some wind signatures here out towards Bentonville now, moving in right over town. Let me go back to radar. Let's see where this is on another view. Again, these are strong winds. What other trees can come down with north winds? I think they all did earlier this year. But we've got some very strong winds coming into Bentonville now, out towards Centerton. Looking at the wind speeds, I'm seeing the strongest winds right now on Southwest Regional Airport Boulevard and I Street, coming down 28. That's going to be moving into the west side of Rogers, out towards West Walnut, Ulrich. These strong winds are probably going to be coming over the area that was affected by that tornado earlier this year. So heads up on this. We do have some strong winds that are out there that are moving in that direction in Bentonville. Again, this is that's looking at Bentonville and Rogers. I was trying to see if I could find a camera for you. I've got 8th Street pulled up here on iDrive. There it is. You can see the shelf cloud right overhead. This is looking south, though. So the storm's actually a little bit behind us here. So you're looking ahead at the cool outflow that's pushing out. That's that spaceship-looking cloud I was talking about for you guys in Fayetteville or Springdale or Rogers where the storm isn't yet. You can look to the north and see that thing going on. So the strongest winds I'm still tracking here in Bentonville. I see them right along Walton, basically southeast Walton and Walton Boulevard. These warnings are in effect here for another hour or another 45 minutes. Looking at wind gusts to 70 miles an hour. That is enough to knock trees over and to cause some power outages too. So keep that in mind as this thing moves across Rogers and Bentonville. It's moving through Bentonville now. It will be moving through Rogers next. The wind velocity signatures are fairly high on this, so I think we do have a real risk of some damaging winds from Centerton to Hiwassee out through Bentonville. That does not look like there's any kind of rotation on this. There's not much in the upper level wind department to support this thing, but my goodness, some very strong winds likely still occurring here right near the airport in Bentonville. Let me get you closer. Let me use this radar source and pull it up. I'll get wide view first so you can see where we are. I'm looking here on the southwest side of Bentonville and West Rogers. I've also got some strong winds running south of Bella Vista. As I zoom on in here, though, here's Thaden Field. Here's Rainbow Curve. So you've got Snyder Meadows, Village on the Creeks, Lockmore, Brighton Heights out towards Cornerstone Ridge. This is coming up towards the Rogers Library and the rail yard here, probably in about the next 15 minutes or less. It's also affecting right now the links in Bentonville. NWAC is getting it. Walton or the Walmart home office is the new one out by the Momentary. That one's getting some of the stronger winds there, especially just to the south. Let's see if I can take you out there. Maybe take you to the battlefield camera that RDOT's got. That's that's a live look at it. Boy, this thing has got all kinds of lightning in it. It's just supercharged in lightning. That storm. This is from Battlefield looking north. So we are looking towards Bella Vista on the left. The strongest part of the storm is to our extreme left, just based on where the wind speeds are on the storm here. You can see it right in the center of the screen with those dark yellow colors. Again, that's where the strongest winds are. That's moving out towards Whispering Timbers. And again, the rail yard, East Rogers, coming right down Walnut again with this thunderstorm. That's what it looks like on radar, guys. So here's a wide view. Also, I've looked at a lot of velocity here, and you're thinking, what's all this, dude? Let's get a wider view here of reflectivity to kind of reset on what's happening here. So this is the storm. By the way, there's more behind this. There's a lot more behind this. This is the setup through the overnight. Is this northwest to southeast movement with some stronger storms? It'll overturn the atmosphere though, so it's going to be tougher to get the severe repeat over the same region, although not impossible in this kind of humid atmosphere. So this is the storm dropping southeast, right? So it's moving through Bella Vista, moving into Rogers. The outflow boundary ran away from it. It's about to get into Ozark and Clarksville. But that storm that's moving southeast, that's the one with the damaging wind risk. And the strongest wind is on the leading edge. The heaviest rain is actually back here to the west, west of 49, northwest of Bella Vista. You got a lot of wind in that area. But it's out ahead of this thing in Rogers and Elm Springs where that wind is starting to really surge out of the storm and will continue pushing right across the central part of the county and then eventually making its way in towards Springdale, possibly even Fayetteville with time if it continues to drop south. With that movement moving due south, it's really flying south too. Is another thing. It's moving. Its forward speed is about 50 miles an hour, which is considerably faster than most storms. Think about those big supercells we get. Often they're about 35 or so. So it's a fast moving storm. This is going to be looking north here from, we've got the Oakwood overpass pulled up. You can see the, someone's getting a ticket. You see him? Yep. Don't be speeding. So you've got those storms out in the distance, but that's the leading edge of the storms that are making their way in. Again, moving from north to south. And back to radar here, tracking these thunderstorms as they make their way in. I'm going to loop this again to show you where this is going to be affecting, where this is affected, and then get a little bit closer on street level. Wind speeds really caught my attention here in the last couple frames here. I mean, it's really going. There's a lot of wind in this thing. You can see it on the forward and the back side of the storm. That's a signature of a downburst where it's pushing down and out, kind of like if you poured flour on a kitchen table, you'd push out on each side, and that's what's going on here. You get the strongest winds right in the middle where the flour would hit the ground, right before it starts to push out. Those wind speeds are still showing up there in Centerton, in Bentonville, and mostly on the south side of Bentonville, west side of Rogers. Right over, looks like this is moving real close now to so that's Walnut moving out towards New Hope. So we're getting pretty close here with some of these storms. See how fast it's moving? I mean, this thing was just on the west side of Bentonville not too long ago at all. So this is tracking southeast, those strong winds right now along Southeast 14th, running out east of Hudson. So this is out there over by where Sam's is, and then moving east down Hudson towards the that wonky red light on North 2nd Street. The leading edge of that is right on 62, and then moving south towards Cave Springs. The leading edge is right along Cave Springs along 112 and 49. So that moves from Cave Springs into Lowell. The outflow gust is probably there already. Oftentimes we got to watch where these little outflow boundaries are, where they wrap into the storm here. If there was actually some shear, that would be somewhere you'd watch for something spinning going on. But there's no shear in the atmosphere, thankfully. There's some shear. There's just not any upper level wind shear that really turns that tube and gets it going. You got to have shear throughout the entire atmosphere, and in the summertime, it's just tough to get winds in the upper levels that are booking it. You can get them and mixing at different heights, and that creates the environment for severe storms and hail, which is what we have for tonight. But you really don't have that upper level support to get things turning. That's good news for us. Um, Tornadoes are strange, though. They can happen any time of year. So you always got to watch out, especially when you have a lot of forward motion like this. So this is the storm, and here's where it is and where it's going. Had some storms here earlier. This is diving southeast. It moved through Bella Vista, still on us in Bella Vista, and the leading edge is now over Bentonville and over Rogers. The strongest winds in the storm appear to be, they've been tracking over Rogers right here. And we've got, this is how it works, right? Um, just said didn't look like there's any rotation, but we were talking about that outflow boundary, and that last on the other radar source, I noticed there actually was some. So that's that's interesting. So let's look at this a little more here. Yeah, there's something fishy going on in here. Now, a lot of this could be like mechanical motion, like moving. I always use the analogy of moving a hand through a pool. You get little eddies that pull up, so it's not necessarily the change in wind speed and direction that's causing it more so than the actual forward force of the storm, which is really hauling. I mean, you get little eddies that spin up on the side of semi trailers on the highway, so things like that happen in the atmosphere as well. That's an area to watch, though. I think at a minimum, some damaging winds are possible on the leading edge of the storm where it feeds back in from the south and southwest. So you might have a little bit of some lowerings here as well as some damaging wind as it makes its way in. Okay, so let's go back to the radar product here and look at this. Here's the thunderstorm, the leading edge, and then back to the west northwest. You have all the lightning. Looking at the middle of the storm here and kind of dissecting it, a wide view shows the whole area lit up for severe thunderstorm warnings from Cassville back down through Rogers, Fayetteville, Huntsville, St. Paul, all of us under severe thunderstorm warnings. There are more storms behind this. You have some up here in northeast Oklahoma. And if I zoom out even more, you got some up here too. And these are all tracking southeast. There may be a flooding threat that materializes sometime later on tonight, depending on where these are. While I'm at it, I'm going to zoom in here. Can you see this little green thing here? So this is a 70-mile-per-hour recorded wind gust. And then back to the west near Independence, we've got 80-mile-per-hour recorded wind gusts. So winds far and away are the main risk with any of this stuff that's going on tonight. There may be some transient eddies from time to time to watch. There may even be some hail that could be up to about nickel, maybe even quarter size. Again, the summer season, hail's ice. It's tough to really get these things lofted high enough for a long enough period of time to get big hailstones. But certainly, quarter size hail is not out of the question with the stuff that's moving through. As it tracks southeast, you're going to see a lot of lightning, heavy rainfall. Again, fast moving storm. It moved into Bella Vista, about 30 minutes ago or so? And it's moving, I mean, it's still coming down now, but the back edge of it is just west of Bella Vista near Sulphur Springs. So it comes down, should move in pretty quick and then move out. Let's go back to some street level mapping on it. Look a little closer here. Let's see here. I'll change source. There we are. All right, so we'll look at the kind of some of the stronger areas of the storm and see where it is and where it's moving towards. Still getting pounded here on South Walton and Southwest I out towards Airport Boulevard. I mean, this is really coming down. This is right over Bentonville Airport. And then running on the other side of 49 towards West Olive and West Walnut, it's still coming down too. Heavy, heavy rainfall from Little Flock. We got rain in Little Flock earlier. Wasn't that a heavy storm? Nice to add to the rain bucket. Of course, we don't need the wind with it, though. And then heavier showers and storms are now moving south out of 112 along West Pleasant Grove Road and then North Main Street heading into Cave Spring. So this is moving from the north to the south. So the nature center there is on the right side of the screen here, on the right side of 112, and then moving east out towards 264. The heavier rainfall starting to pick up along South Rainbow Road, Shores Avenue, Garrett Road, and then Wallace Road to the north. So this is along and north of West Pleasant Grove. And then farther north, where there's more lightning, this looks like it's the same place I started, right? I mean, goodness, we've had a lot of rainfall here over Moberly and J Street and West Olive in central, southwestern Rogers and central and southeastern Bentonville. East side of Bentonville, west side of Rogers. Just keep it a little bit simple, right? So that's still going on here with storms along Southeast 8th. And again, that's tracking east towards Prairie Creek. Man, we had some wind in Prairie Creek too earlier with that first round of storms that moved through. So that's where the strongest storms are located. There is one trailing storm behind this that's southeast of Gravette. So we can get some streets for you here. This is along Fruitwood Road and east of, looks like Horman Road, just to the southwest of Hiwassee. Looks like a fairly strong storm with that. Going back over to the other radar here, and maybe we'll look at some of these RDOT cams that are out there. Here's I mean, the strongest one on radar is that guy up there, just north of Anita. Goodness. And it looks like you have the outflow boundary now starting to initiate some storms along the forward flank. Watch this. You can see this outflow boundary come out and look at these things develop. It's like the outflow boundary just kind of uncorks the atmosphere, right? So um, you're seeing some storms develop along the leading edge too. So here's another close look. Cave Springs, Rogers, Bentonville, Lowell, the heaviest on the west side of Cave Springs near Aurora and Scissortail. That's going to be just to the northwest of the Osage House and starting to move in towards Shadow Valley, Liberty Bell, Mount Hebron, out towards Cross Creek, Lakewood, Weatherton, Otter Creek. The last one really starts to intensify it here near Shadow Valley. That's southwest. Well, actually, it's moving right over Pinnacle Country Club. Same with the Village on the Creeks and right over the. Looks like it's moving over Mercy right now. Let's see if I can get a camera pulled up there for you to see what it's actually doing over there. Give us an idea of what's taking place. There's an embassy camera looking north on RDOT. There it is. Looking a little slow. Oh, there it goes. Trying to make this is the problem with nighttime stuff. You really can't see anything. Same with that tornado the night we were tracking that. I mean, you got a lot of lightning, so you look for stuff between the lightning. And I'm trying to find the trees there to see how much they're moving. But I imagine we've got winds at 40 or 50 right now moving over I-49 and New Hope. That's looking northbound. Those folks on the left side with the headlights, they're driving right into it or driving out of it. I guess depends on how you look at it because the thing is kind of bent right in this area as it moves northeast. So you have heavy showers and storms here over Cave Springs. Again, this is moving over towards Hunt Towers, right on top of us, out towards Uptown Rogers, the Greens, Rogers High School, Madison Community, Rogers Library, and then eventually out towards the rail yard. Visibility will drop and you'll have a lot of rainfall and a lot of lightning. Back over to radar here. Let's isolate hail. Actually, we'll do it on the other source real quick. Let's just check in on our hail. I haven't looked at that yet. We'll see where the hail size. The hail size would be greatest northeast of Cave Springs near Pinnacle. The largest would be somewhere around Nickel. So it doesn't look to be the main factor here, but that is the strongest storm. That's the one that stands out to me the most. So I'm back over here to the radar and looking closer at this here. You've got storms out around Dodson and Stony Brook, right along exit 83. That's going to be tracking east. That's moving towards West Dogwood, West Oak, and West Walnut, as well as West Ulrich, right there over towards Dixieland. So Dixieland's going to get all this stuff as it moves through from west to east. You can see the whole line pretty much lines up on I-49 right now. Matter of fact, the camera we were looking at a second ago, you can't even see anything. That stuff is right over us here in Rogers and southeast Bentonville for that matter. Traffic almost slowing to a stop in some spots. Another look at it, it's above the house, so if we lose power, it could be interesting. But we'll just cross that bridge when it happens, right? When we get to it. Showers and storms with the lightning. The lightning is very intense here. Got it along West Pleasant Grove Road. The strongest cell along Wallace. That's tracking east. Again, torrential rain with this, lots of cloud to ground lightning and some gusty winds. The wind direction here is going to be, let's see here. Let's animate this and see what the wind trend has been doing. It was a lot stronger north of earlier, just to the north of Rogers near Bentonville, right in there. Still have a lot of strong winds on the leading edge, though, that are pushing out of the storm. Back over to reflectivity. Here we go. A lot of lightning with this on the northeast side of the county near Garfield. Storms in Bella Vista, although still loud, are starting to wind down. But even though we've got it right on top of us in Rogers, we've also got another line that's moving out towards Centerton. That thing's going to be moving in too, right behind this. This area needs rainfall. It's kind of a bummer to get it with wind and severe weather. This area is only seen. There was one day I think Fort Smith had like 3.5 inches. Fayetteville got over 2 inches, and Rogers I think got less than a trace. I mean, it wasn't anything. So this is an area that needs rain. It's just unfortunate we're getting it all at once in buckets with the wind, with the lightning, with everything else, the hail risk. But hey, we need the rainfall. Hopefully, we can get through this thing in the next 30 to 45 minutes or so, and look forward to the next one moving into an atmosphere that's a little bit weaker with the storm working it over. Of course, right now it is blowing and going here from Centerton east into Bentonville. Let me get back into street level on this. I'm going to take you from north to south. You can find where you live on this if you're familiar with where I am. So here's West Hudson running east-west. NWAC's going to be right in here. Now when it drops south, this is West Olive running east-west. That moves out towards 2nd Street. And then West Walnut moving east. You've got Ulrich, and here's New Hope. So Mercy's going to be right in here, and that's what it looks like out the window in that area. You can see it's really coming down, although visibility is actually improved a little bit, right? I mean, it actually has come up compared to what, about 10 minutes ago or so. So the strongest part of this is now moving east towards the east side of Rogers. That gets us out towards First Street, South 8th, and it looks like Old Wire Road, and eventually Blue Hill Road um, along the leading edge of that storm. Curious if we've seen what wind gusts have been reported here yet. Let's see here. I know the leading edge of this is really where the strongest winds are. So once you get past that, well, that sounded fun. Once you get past that strong wind, you're more into just the heavy rainfall, and you're not really dealing with the thunderstorms as much with that intense the wind. The wind usually comes on the leading edge. Now there are some exceptions; they can collapse on the backside too. Off camera, I just froze this up, so I'm trying to unfreeze that here. Um, but the big story here is going to be the leading edge wind and the heavy rainfall, followed by considerable cloud to ground lightning. All right, I did get the camera pulled back up. I'm going to take you out towards the Bellevue, looking north now. So this is looking north towards Hunt Towers, and then Embassy would be there on the right. So trees there moving around quite a bit. A lot of cloud to ground lightning in this thing. Let's head back over to radar here. Cluster of lightning strikes. Same place, guys. I mean, this is the last 5 or 10 minutes. This is really where it's been the heaviest. Just looking at this, let's see. I think that wind is going to scrape the north side of Fayetteville, maybe. It probably gets into Springdale on the north side. It may not even get into Fayetteville. We'll have the leading edge gust front move through. I mean, that thing's already getting close to Johnson. It's actually moving. It moved through Johnson, actually. And that gust front is now moving into Fayetteville. Hey, we need it, right? I mean, it's going to cool us down. Let's see if we can. Let me see if I can pull up the. Well, maybe not. Nope, that didn't do it. There we go. It's going to try to load the current conditions out there, but I don't have that one opened at the moment. So we'll take us back to radar there. So this heavy line moves through Little Flock, and then there's one behind it. So you guys get hit twice. There's a new scan. And there's a pretty good cell out there. This is along Bush Road and North Tycoon Road, right along State Highway 102. So there is another cell on the back side of this thing near Centerton that's still going. In fact, that one's actually probably the one to watch for any hail. From Lowell to the south, this moved through Cave Springs. The strongest part now is moving over, looks like South Bellevue Road. That's going to be along Garrett and Muirfield, Baltimore Drive, Clearmount Drive, Avery Lane, Danbury Court. Here's Gold Springs Road. And then moving south out towards the FedEx facility, just to the north of West Monroe, near exit What are we, 78 here? So you got Workman's right in this area. Here's North Dixieland running to the north. Here's 71. This looks like it's pretty much, here's exit 81 here. So the Supercenter is like right there. And then you got the Chick-fil-A over here. Let's see if we can find a camera in that area. It's really coming down. It's pretty much right on the interstate. Drop a little farther south here. Now, if I can take you to 264, that's looking south. So it's just a little bit south of where I'm looking at there. A new scan just came through. It's putting the heaviest now over, yeah, pretty much right what we were talking about, right over South Dixieland and Pleasant Grove Road moving east. This is coming up on the high school here. Here's North Bloomington, and Dixieland runs right through here. So over by the police department, the high school, very heavy rainfall here. That's moving right towards Larson Avenue, Central Park Avenue, Park Street, and then on the other side of Pleasant Grove to the north, I think that's under development right now. South 8th Street, starting to pick up on West Laurel Lane, West Post Road, West Post and 8th. And don't forget, we do have that one cell that's still laggy back here that's got a lot of heavy rain and some hail with it. It's north of Rainbow Farm Road and Brookside Road, along with Grimm Road. Here's where Southwest Regional bends back to the south. You know what I'm talking about here? Coming into Heifel. So this is pretty close to X and A. North, there's where you drop the people off. So the runway would be like right here. So this is just northeast of the runway at X and A. Buckhorn Flats Road, coming down Southwest Regional towards Southwest Bright Road, Southwest I Street. Man, we just got hit. We're going to get hit again by this thing, right? Zoom on out here and see what we've got going on. We've got some more behind it. We'll see what those things do. It's going to be like this on and off through the night, although as we get deeper into the night, well, really towards daybreak, they'll start letting up in intensity, but really the intensity is going to potentially be there through the overnight. So it's possible we could get a couple of repeat rounds of severe storms tonight. Just know the atmosphere will be a lot more worked over each time we get the storms. And so the intensity should start to simmer down with time. A lot of heavy rain, though. And if you're going to be out or you have plans to be out this evening, keep in mind that flash flooding could be an issue for us later tonight, probably after midnight, 1, 2 in the morning when this stuff has moved over the same place time and time again. So that's this thunderstorm. Let's go back to analyst here. I think we were looking at hail last time. Well, here's a wind reported gust, 64 reported, and that was measured at X and A. That was with the leading edge of that storm there as it moved through. That was at it's like 8:41 was when that was recorded. That was 2 northwest of Healing Springs. So yeah, that's a reported wind gust at 64. Kind of like we were looking at that earlier and talking about those wind speeds. In Kansas and back up here in Southwest Missouri and parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. Well, that's what we got here too. So wind gusts are definitely what you should be most concerned with out of this, not necessarily the tornado threat or even the hail risk, although there is some hail risk here. You can see it out over Bethel Heights and Springdale, but really it's just a good old-fashioned summer thunderstorm with too much wind is the problem with this. If the atmosphere was just a little more stable, we could enjoy a nice storm here without having to deal with any of these high wind gusts. Speaking of the wind, let's just see what we got here. Looks like it's actually a little stronger to the north now, doesn't it? This one moved right through Bentonville, Springdale, and Rogers. It's actually weakened quite a bit. That one looks like it's picking up, though. Right in here. So this is out towards, moving towards Eureka Spring. Eureka Springs, Bush, Beaver, Gateway, Garfield, LaRue. This is all western Carroll County. Um, Picking up a little bit in intensity. We're also starting to see it out towards Springdale. And we have it over us in Springdale, really. Let's go back to this source. Checking a couple different products here. thing about so base velocity is just measuring wind speed, right? So um, it looks really bad, right? But storm relative velocity actually subtracts the forward movement. So we're basically isolating what's happening. We're isolating what's happening inside the thunderstorm. We're taking away that forward motion to just see where stuff is either spinning or pushing out. So that's what I was looking at there, but it doesn't look like there's anything to be concerned with. Man, that's a gust front though, huh? Here's a loop of it. More storms forming back to the west. So lots of wind, heavy rainfall, cloud to ground lightning, guys. This is going to continue on and off throughout the night. I'll jump back on here from time to time, depending on how things look. Um, as of right now, it still continues to be a wind risk, although it's considerably lower than it looked um, earlier. Still a wind risk here west of Eureka Springs, moving east towards Berryville and northern Madison County. I'll come back on if we see anything interesting out there, but expect a rainy night tonight, especially in northwest Arkansas. Later this evening and towards daybreak, some of this stuff gets into Van Buren and Fort Smith. See you next time.